Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the Kai Schulin Project, where last time, if you remember, we went and kind of did a little bit on the lower leg there. We finally actually have a boot looking like a boot. We got the top part there, and we started putting on some of the kind of the padding stuff and some of the lighter details on the leg. I'm not going to do the patterning yet. This is the stuff that if I accidentally touch this or whatever while working on the other leg or working on something else, it's very easily rectified. So this time we're going to do the same for the section up top here, which if we come in here, you can see we have the padding up on the top leg. We're going to do that. And if we get that part done, we can at least put some of the straps on the boot itself. Now we're going to try doing things, as I had mentioned last time, we're going to try doing things a little bit differently this time. And that, okay, I'm starting with a 4 is my thickness. That's what I had on the lower part. And that rather than doing the hour-long session, we're going to try for like a half-hour session, and we're going to see not if I can have more people come to the page, which would be really super cool. If you were drawn here, that's awesome. I'm glad to see you here. But otherwise, it would be I'm doing some experiments to see what can at least get me on the map, because right now this stuff isn't even broadcast anywhere according to YouTube's algorithms. So I think the hour-long sessions for somebody who doesn't really have a name to himself yet doesn't really work. So we're going to see, we're going to be experimenting a little bit with our whatever video length, just to kind of see how we can work the system here a little bit, either to our advantage or ultimate disadvantage, as we will find out. Okay, so how high do we go? We don't go super high up. Actually, it's about where I have this at right now. Seems to be, yeah, it's right around, whoop, that doesn't help. It looks like it ends right around this mark right there. And then the top of the hip gets other stuff going on. So it looks like we start here, and unlike the other one, this one does actually come to a point in the middle. Let's see, it starts a little bit up off the bottom. So we want to get ourselves at least halfway around. That did not get ourselves halfway around, which means I want to come up a little bit. So I want to have this not necessarily be a full 90-degree angle. We want to be just a little bit in. Not super much, but just a little bit. Okay, so if we have that, that comes from about there to there. And that does kind of get us, looks like it's pretty much what we want. Maybe just want to be just a hair higher on the bottom where it comes across our datum line here. Yeah, and we're just kind of going by feel. Doesn't need much more than that. So I'm just going to push down a little bit on that, just so I can feel the indent from this datum line we gave ourselves in the last session. And we have our nice movable joints, so I can just raise the arms. And I don't think that was a very good cut. But we can, actually that's not too bad. That kind of gets the job done. So that goes there, it comes in. Now what we want to do is we want to do kind of the same on the other side, and you are nowhere near useful at the moment. So let's go send this through this guy again. That is not a direction it's going to send through very well. Alright, so if we have a long skinny thing, all we need to do is fold in half, go this way, and we no longer have a long skinny thing. Now we're pretty much what we need this thing to be. And we're actually pretty dang close to a 90-degree angle. And I have to say, with this camera now moved out of the way, since last session I went and moved the camera a little bit, and I have to say it does actually kind of get in the way a little bit. Not gonna lie. Kind of for working purposes, the camera is much nicer in the other position. But that said, I think for viewing stuff, ooh, that is not even close. So let's see, so we need you to come, we need this side to come way down. Yeah, I think for viewability on your end of things, this is probably much better. Because we can actually see a whole lot of stuff. But from my view, it does definitely kind of get in the way a little bit. Okay, so where are we? We're kind of there. So if that comes around, are we hitting? Not quite. Not quite. It needs a little bit more. This is going to make the patterning end of things actually pretty entertaining, I'm not going to lie. But we're not at that point yet, and you'll understand why when we get to that point. Okay, so that's there, that's there. How do we do? Do we hit the other point? Okay, that's, as you can see, that's getting a little better. That is getting a little better. So I just need to, okay, come off. I didn't stick you down. I didn't stick it down, so if I slide, whoop, slid it too much, slid it too much. We want these points to kind of meet like that. And same is on the other part. We just take, okay, good, you can see it. We take you and just kind of follow along the edge of what we have as best we can. That, well, we're a little skinny, but again, we're going to be adding stuff to this, so not too worried. I'm staring at it right now as if I'm going to do something else. No, we're doing okay. So now, like last time, we need to pack this in a little bit. So let's go and actually cut this a little bit nicer. Oop, come on, get off. That didn't do what I wanted it to. Oh, this is why clay is fun. Hey, there we go. Okay. Clay is coming off. Clay decided it doesn't want to come off on that section. Alright, that's fine. One nice thing with clay is always fixable. Something doesn't go right, something's misbehaving. We can always do something to it to make it work. Okay, so let's take you out. I'm going to bring you down here. And we just want to... Now I'm doing kind of two things. I'm kind of pushing this excess clay in towards the line a little bit, and I'm crimping the edge kind of at the same time. I'm doing this. So it kind of fills the gap and also kind of makes it just a little skinnier right at that point. And then once we have that, we can now reestablish that line by making a mark going straight down. Okay, so same thing on this side. I'm going to use you just to kind of push this in a little bit. And then we can take this, just go straight down the edge. That brings that in. Now we bring our other handy dandy tool, the back end of a paintbrush. And we can kind of round that off a little bit so it's not a super stark corner. And it makes it look like this fabric is thinner all the way around up to that point. So it doesn't look like it's just ducking under it. It looks like it's always kind of been that thickness. Which again is kind of what we want. Okay, what I didn't do is I didn't actually push this in with my fingers. I should probably actually do that. might be good. Might be good. Okay, so now with that in place, let's go set you down. Now we can take all these little scraps and stuff that we have. And I believe we were either a 2 or a 3 on here. I think it was 2. We need to put this back on the base because, again, the arm of this goes down below the base of here, which is why we're always on this box. And that's actually going to be fine. That is going to be okay. Because all we need to do now is make a couple more strips. Whoa, losing the camera off the table. I'm a professional. I swear. Well, professional builder, yes. Professional modeler, we're working on it. I'm not sure 500 hours of experience doing this, or doing clay models, makes it professional, but we're getting there. Okay, once again, just kind of eyeballing, kind of just a thin-ish width on this. We're actually going to wind up doing just a couple of these. Sometimes when you get super thin pieces, sometimes they come out straight, sometimes they don't. And it's nice having a couple backups too, or a backup, just in case. Plus, there's just quantity of stuff I need to get done here. So, I'm trying to peek around this camera, and it's not working super well. Okay. So with that, we have another. This one looks like it's a hair thinner, which is actually, I think, better. Okay, I can start with that. I know the rest is stuck to the bottom of you, so let's just start with this. And all we're going to do is just like the other side. I'm going to bring you, that's actually a little fatter right there, so let's not use the fat part. Let's cut the fat part off, don't need that. We can start a little bit long. This is kind of my modus operandi on these, is start a little bit long on that. Bring you up. And actually, we can just go straight over to the other side on this. We'll make the detail where the two cross after this fact. But for now, we can just run you straight across back here on the... Whoa, don't lose it. Two things I don't want to do. I don't want to drop this thing. I don't want to twist it either. Okay. So we're going. You're there. Kind of pushing you in as we go. I can just give a little tug for the excess, and bam. That one's off. And now we can cut the little excess off. Peel it back. And there we go. We have the excess down here. We can do the same thing on this. Cut you right down the edge. Peel off the excess. Bam. Done. Well, quasi-done. Just as with the other part, we want to tuck that in a little bit. And now when you tuck clay, that means if clay squishes on one side, it will try to squish out somewhere else. So we find that and just kind of mitigate what we have. Do a light little tap down so it's all good. Kind of push you in there a little bit. Kind of clean up the edge. And just kind of do a light pushing in place. And we have, well, part of it. Now we get to the second part. Again, we can start a little long. We're going to cut that off. And this one just broke off in my finger, so cool. right where I needed it to. So I mean, that part is kind of cool. Actually, actually don't really need to cut that part. So let's just, while we have the top right here, let's just use it. Let's just get this part done. No reason not to. Now this will look a little bit weird until the actual kind of detailing goes into this, or the patterning goes into this, but again, I don't really want to do the patterning part quite yet. I think I don't want to do that until the other foot is detailed, which I haven't figured out if I want to do that on camera or not. Because again, at this point, you've already seen the first foot completed. So it's not really adding anything new to the table. But at the same time, my goal was to show the quote-unquote the entirety of the first two projects I put on this channel, and part of me is being very stubborn in wanting to actually complete that objective. Get off. Ah, the excess is not getting off. Nope, that didn't get it. There we go. Okay, the intersection is not great in there. Let's deal with this. Let's hook this part up first, and then we'll deal with that intersection. Okay, that part's off. That is good. Once again, we're going to carry a little bit over to that line, crimp it, reestablish that, reestablish this. Be very careful now where with every detail I do now, I need to be more and more careful with where I actually stick my fingers and stick my hands, and what I can hold on to and what I can't hold on to, and all that type of stuff. Because now is where it gets a little tricky. Okay, so according to everything that I see, this goes up this way, is sitting on top of that part there. So I need to blend those two together, which is very simple. Because it's so thin, it made that very simple. So that part's done. And then we go and duck this side underneath. Duck you underneath. Kind of pat it down just a little bit. Same on this one, just kind of pad it down a little bit. Yeah, get the whole thing down there a little. Wrong tool. I have three tools. I keep picking up the wrong one. Okay. Reestablish the line just by doing that. Reestablish this and that. That gets us that piece there. Okay, so now that one is in. Now that's trying to hook you in upside down. That's not all of it that goes on over there. There is a little bit more. So once again, that's also what happens when I only stick one of these things, and it's, there we go. Foot number 2. Now I want to go back to 4 on this. Send that through. And now between these, there is a little bit of an arc thing kind of going on. So between we have a little bit of an arc. So I'm going to take that, and actually we're going to make it a little bit more of an arc than that. Alright, and with that, now we can... The knife is hitting the other leg. Take that off. Bring that down. Now we have a little piece down in here. Now this is going to be also colored the same kind of dark as the other bands on this. But we need this to again read like it's lower down in depth. So we're just going to pack that in. Now if you are new here, just to give you a heads up, some of these details may look a little bit rough kind of throughout this video. I'm very nearsighted, and everything I'm doing is, I'm like, the closest I can get this thing to me is like between 9 inches and a foot away from my face with the camera and all this in front of me. So typically after one of these sessions is done, I may go and kind of clean stuff up, or clean up some of these details when I can get the camera out of the way. So we're getting the basic stuff done on camera, as much of this stuff as I can done on camera here, but there will be some touch-ups after, just to give you the heads up. And now, as we can see, there is, I just moved something on my screen. I want this image. If we move you out of the way, I'm looking at the strap that kind of comes from here around kind of the very upper strap comes from here, the very upper thigh and around. I'm just kind of getting a visual on that to where it kind of comes to on the back side. So I can see we start just above this piece that I just put in, and on the back side it really ends, yeah, just around there. Okay. And this can actually be, actually I can make you a little bit thicker. We're gonna make you a 5 on this, and I think I want more clay than I have. I think I want more clay. Yeah, because the other one was a 4 for the base with a 2 on top of that. So I can cheat a little bit and make this guy just a little bit thicker so that it kind of will match the combination of the two of those. Okay. So once again, we get our good old engineering scale out. Get ourselves a base of a straight line right there. And now all that curving piece I just had is now no longer curving. It's now straight. Once again, we're going kind of about the same width we had been going. I feel like you're a little thicker. Ugh. Yeah, I feel like you're just a little thick. Let's try that again. A little bit thinner. Okay. Bring it up to here. I can bring you in a little closer so we can all see what's going on. I'm losing stuff. Now you're starting right about there. You come up. You're going just over the top. You come around. And you end kind of arbitrarily. Did it end kind of up here? it ends kind of right where I think everything kind of comes together. So you start there, you start kind of down here. Let's see, I'm of the opinion this actually should move down a little bit. I can still do that again. Everything is slidable and fixable. Nothing is permanent at this point. But I think, yeah, this detail has to slide down just a little, and that will make that work out. Now, the other thing I want to do were the straps on the boot. I'm going to slide you back down to a 4. I'm being very mindful of my clock, because again, I'm trying, part of this is a test on my part for a little bit. So I do want this to finish under the half-hour span. So, being very mindful of the clock. But I'm not going to do the flowing part, the part that kind of like comes off the shoe, which, if I'm coming up here, yeah, so you can see I'm not going to do the flying part, but there are 2 loops that go around the shoe, or around the boot, that I can do those. Nope. All right, beautiful. Let's get you over here. Let's get you back. Camera's facing kind of correctly. And now we have 2 loops. We're going to have one kind of lower. And actually we're going to usually you want to stick like the cut on the back or on the least visible side of anything. But we're going to have a buckle going right over here. So we're going to put our seam underneath where that buckle and everything else is kind of going. So I can stick that there. I can stick that there. Bam, there's one strap. And just like the other one, seam right there, bring this guy around. And there is that. Let's kind of blend them in, make them look good. And while we're here, let's make sure these still kind of read as 2 separate straps. Which they kind of are, so that's good. And there we go. A little more detail on that. A little more stuff going up on the leg. You can't really see it. It's not super visible, but I'll be honest, once we get that patterning going, it's gonna be all good. And like I said, from here on, we're gonna have one strap that comes down there and kind of flies off the back side. Then we're gonna have another one that comes off there too. And it's gonna be good. But that detail, this is sure gonna break. So that's gonna be one of the last things that actually gets done. But yeah, now that is where we are right now. And next time I think we might have some actual engineering going on next time, and it should be a lot of fun. Because yeah, we gotta hold up that ammo belt somehow. So until then, enjoy.